Okay, trustees, we are live. We are recording. Phone lines are open. Go for it.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to the trustees' regular meeting of August 8th. And I'd like to open with the pledge of allegiance.
The flag
United States of America,
of the Republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, Arlene, keep the roll call.
John Aldridge.
Here.
Frank Scott.
Here.
David Cataletta.
Here.
Ed Nollinger. Tim Garnell.
Here.
I see him.
Here.
Kim is,
Mike Martinson.
Here.
Susan McGraw-Keeper. And Phil.
She's here, just muted.
Here.
I got you.
who's up then?
Thank you.
Ken was, in travel or someplace. Right. Okay, we have 5 people physically present. 5 here. Mike, can I ask you, why you're attending by Zoom?
Yeah, you're asking me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll tell the whole world. It's because the love of my life has a major health issue and I need to be at her side.
Okay. I believe the way this is supposed to work, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. It's supposed to go through the clerk so that we know ahead of time what we're going to be expecting, whether or not it was a legitimate excuse to not attend. Is that correct?
I don't know that we have that in any of the rules that we worked on. I think that's just more of a in-house thing that we can discuss, but so long as we have a quorum here and a few people want to participate in that way, I think that's fine.
Excuse me, trustees.
Yes.
Chris, next time you speak, please use your microphone.
Okay, is that better?
Okay, so we have a quorum of 5 at the table, which means that anybody attending via Zoom is eligible to vote on any issues tonight.
That's correct.
Okay. Let's move on to public comment. I have good. Okay, Peter Jacob, Hampton Waters Property Owners Association.
Yes, here.
And you want to talk about the Oyster Pond Walkway application, correct?
Correct. I believe there's an application that we submitted to the trustees. And the background of it, if I could say a word about the history of how we got to where we are today. Hampton Waters Property Owners Association, it's a nonprofit that was incorporated back in the 60s for the purpose of holding the common parcels of the community, parcels of land. And one of those is a path that goes from the intersection of Oyster Pond Lane and Oyster Shores Road down to the water. It's a footpath, and about halfway down that path, you encounter wetlands. In the 2000s, somewhere in the 2000s, long before my time on the board, an effort was made by the board to towards a walkway for the path, because in the wetlands where the path traverses, there's a Suffolk County mosquito control canal that was dug long ago. It was culverted for the path, and that culvert had long been in disuse and not maintained. It had filled in or collapsed or both. And so the path would get muddied with the tidal waters or with rains. And so it became, for some, hard to traverse, and an effort was made to think about a walkway for the footpath. And what came out of that effort is that the existing path encroached onto one of the neighbors' properties substantially. And so that walkway along the existing path idea was scrapped, and the board resolved to take a deeper look at the situation. If the trustees would like, we can put up some pictures of this path so that you can get a sense of what it looks like. Is that something that would help the trustees, or
Sure.
Sure.
So we have 4 photos that take us along that path.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the beginning of the path at Oyster Shores Road. The part of the path that's depicted in that picture is before the wetlands. It's just a dry footpath. The next photo. This is about halfway down the path where the wetlands are. That's the mosquito control canal. And you can see some muddiness in the existing path. The next photo.
That path is curving over onto the other.
Onto the neighboring adjacent private homeowner's property. Exactly. This is looking north from the path. And then the last photo is the end of the path looking back towards the road. It shows the house of the property owner whose property the existing path has been encroaching all these years. So the board commissioned a survey, and that survey, the purpose of the survey was to determine just exactly where the encroachment was and to call out and plan for a pathway that doesn't encroach. And if we can pull up the survey, there it is. It shows the existing path, which is the curved path there. And it calls for a path that stays on, a new path that stays on the Hampton Waters Property Association property, and does away with the encroachment. That survey has been submitted to the Zoning Board of Appeals Planning Department. It's been approved by Brian Frank as accurate. And on the basis of that survey, the board applied to the Department of Environmental Conservation for a permit for this project, a walkway project that would be elevated rather than down at the water level. That application was successful and a permit was granted by the DEC. That permit is in place until this coming November. And we just the other day got an extension, a renewal of that permit into 2027. We've submitted all of those things to the trustees. After the DC permit was issued, some time was spent by the board trying to solicit proposals, educate itself as to what kind of construction, what kind of cost is involved here, some fundraising to put the funds in place to be able to do this project. Contractor been identified, and with that contractor, shop drawings were drafted, and an application was made to the planning department for a natural resources special permit. That took place in 2021, and just about a week or so ago, that application was approved and that permit has been issued. We've submitted that to the trustees as well. You can see from the survey that it calls out for the new walkway, the walkway along the new path to terminate
about 60 feet before inland of the mean high water line. And so the board was advised that that project wouldn't implicate the trustees' jurisdiction, but nonetheless, the board resolved to go ahead and make the application to the trustees, let the trustees determine their own jurisdiction, and if it's found, to determine what input they would have for this project. So that's how we got to this point. The trustees can see that there's a number of governmental agencies overseeing this project, and each one that we've applied to has approved it. The board is working currently on its application for a building permit to the building department. We've engaged a structural engineer to do those drawings. Those are in process. We expect to be filing that in the coming weeks. So the things to stress are the oversight from the other governmental organizations, the fact that this isn't a single homeowner with a one-dimensional interest making an application, but a community through its nonprofit board with input from all of its 200 plus property owning members, both waterfront and inland. And so I hope the trustees can see the way I see it, that the board has acted in a responsible and compliant way all the way through, each time looking for the rules and procedures that it has to follow and then following those. And so that's why we're here today. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, from where I'm looking at it, it doesn't appear that this is in our jurisdiction, or am I missing something here?
Yeah, I don't see where it is on property or anything to object to. Seems like a benefit project.
Chris, what do you think?
So one question I have, and we'll get into jurisdiction a little bit more, is based off your first photo or off of this picture with the actual walkway, that little creek, that's a tidal creek that's in this photo. I think it's photo number 1 that we showed up to.
Yeah, it's a canal. As I understand, it's a canal dug by the Suffolk County
Mosquito control.
Or a mosquito control canal. Yeah. The idea is that the mosquitoes lay their eggs at high tide and then out they go at low tide. And that's what's depicted in that photo.
Okay. Are you planning to repair that collapsed section or open it up?
It appears that collapsed section is on the adjacent homeowner's property. And so we do plan to revegetate the parts of the old path that are on our property. And that's a stipulation that we received from the planning department. That's something that we'll comply with, and we are working on our revegetation plan to submit with our building department application.
Basically the tidal water stops at the collapse section, which is on your neighbor's property. I don't think so. I think the tidal water extends into the ditch and into the marsh.
But your path is not going to cross that.
The path is 4 feet above ground level. Mm-hmm. So the path, it goes over that. It goes over all of this. Yeah.
So I'm assuming that, excuse me, I'm assuming this is all flow-through decking. It's all non-treated tropical hardwoods or something other than structure treated.
Correct. So, I could share a screen of the.
Yeah, that's okay. Hey guys, it seems to be outside of our realm of interest here. I don't know whether we would give a letter just to cover the association, a letter of non-jurisdiction, or just leave this alone.
Or just grant the permit.
That's a third option.
I guess, when I first looked at this and was presented with the question of whether they should submit an application, I looked at it as a salt marsh, obviously influenced by salt water, and saw the standing water in there. Wasn't really sure how that standing water, that ditch or that stream or whatever it is, originated, and felt as though it would be not inappropriate for Hampton Waters to submit an application.
Is that a runnel, John? Are we looking at a salt marsh runnel?
It's a long, narrow stretch of open water.
Right, but would it be considered a runnel?
No, I don't think so, Susan. I think a runnel is a very
Narrow.
shallow dug ditch to drain a section of marsh. Did Chris get permission for these things way back? I have no idea.
Excuse me, Chris, can you give us some legal guidance here?
Sure. My opinion on this, in this type of case, is that historically, when presented with this type of question in an application from an applicant, the trustees have assumed
jurisdiction until proven otherwise. In this case, the trustees would not be the lead agency. The DEC has already chimed in, as is the town. I think this is a pretty simple one for the trustees to be able to provide a little commentary if they so choose, and go ahead and ultimately grant a permit for the project. So I think that's the direction the trustees should go here.
All right. Do you think we need to discuss this, guys, anymore? John, would you like to make a motion to approve a permit on this?
I would like to do that, Jim. We did discuss this back when this was originally proposed, and some of the same pictures and drawings that.
I'll second that.
Okay, so John's making a motion to approve.
I made a second.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay.
Now, hey, before we totally sign off here, did anybody raise any issues about the path has been realigned, but it wanders into the reserve area? Did the town have any issues with that?
It's not a reserve area, it's neighbor's property, I believe.
No, I'm looking at the survey here. It clearly shows that this proposed path, that the realignment still has it running through the reserve area. Is there an issue with that? It's not our property.
That's the old path still, that's being pointed.
Yes, exactly.
That's the old path.
That's on a dune right there, right?
Yeah.
That the walkway crosses the marsh, Jim, and then gets to a low dune
All right.
over before you get to the harbor itself.
Okay, but none of the other agencies have an issue with this thing continuing to exist in this reserve area?
Hey, Jim?
Yeah.
The planning department has issued an administrative permit for it.
Then it's a moot issue. It was just a question.
I believe the reserve area is part of the subdivision. It's all wetland there, mostly wetland and dune. I believe as part of the subdivision, that section was put into a reserve area. That's my understanding.
Well, the only reason I asked a question on that is sometimes these reserve areas have very specific language that in many cases prohibit something like this. And clearly there was when the subdivision was done, they did deed this 25-foot access to get to the water. But if none of the agencies had any issues with this thing basically projecting into the reserve, I could see the argument for not moving it as why disturb something that you don't have to. I clearly understand the issues related to this thing crossing into and impinging into a private property. So I think we should be done here.
Yeah, I would say presumably the planning department reviewed this and included that in their review. And they did grant the permit without comment on that path, so.
Okay, fair enough.
I think it was a very thorough application, and thank you very much for coming to speak to us.
Thank you for having me. You've been very kind.
Thanks,
Peter.
Thank you. Okay, does anybody else wish to, would you like to direct the floor?
No, I'm with the SAR.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
filling in this.
Okay. Welcome. Matt, is there anybody on the phone lines?
You have 0 callers. Thank you.
Okay. Move on to new business. We have a letter from the East Hampton Fire Department requesting permission for their annual fireworks fundraiser event at Main Beach. It's not really a fundraiser, it's just a traditional annual event. I'll read the letter to the board. On behalf of the East Hampton Fire Department, I respectfully request permission to hold the East Hampton Fire Department's annual Main Beach fireworks fundraiser. This display is scheduled to be conducted on Saturday, August 20th, 2022, with a rain date of Sunday, August 21st. Will commence at approximately 8:30 p.m. The fireworks will be launched in an area adjacent to Hook Pond, just east of the Sea Spray Cottages, and will be conducted in strict accordance with all applicable local, state, and federal codes and regulations. I thank you for your assistance and consideration regarding this matter. Please feel free to contact them with any questions or concerns.
I'd like to make a motion to give them a permit.
I'll second it.
Well, we usually just give them a letter saying, sure, have fun. Sure, have fun. Not a problem.
All right.
Okay, so we have a motion from Jim and a second from Susan. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, old business. We have the largest plant contest next.
Yes, just very briefly, I would like to let you know that we're moving ahead with getting this organized. We're pretty well into it. Today, I believe we have ordered T-shirts and clam baskets. So the T-shirts will be given to the judges for the clam chowder, for all the people who are participating as vendors, and for students that we hope to get from the school, whether it's middle school or high school, preferably, I guess, high school for community credit. And so that was done today by Arlene. And the clam baskets will be stainless steel, both for children and for the adults, but we're going to need prizes. So I want to give you the heads up now that as soon as you can, start to think about gift certificates, various different shops in our community. If people are willing to donate for the event, that's great. If not, we help our vendors out and our shopkeepers, and we can purchase, but we do have a budget. So if you have something in mind, please, get in touch with me, Ben, David. We are on the committee, and of course, Arlene and Allison are very helpful in our office. Great help from them every year we've been doing this. So just wanted to let you know where we are. I can't believe it's almost Labor Day, and before you know it, we will have our largest clam contest. So start thinking about the prizes.
Well,
and,
hey,
yes.
Susan, in the past, the committee members would go out into the community and solicit prizes from the
Yes.
businesses. That's the way it had been done in the past. It did seem to work fairly
It's
well.
not changing.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not changing it. I'm letting everybody know that who can, pitch in, and if you can get some prizes, certificates from people that would be wonderful, because we do have considerable amount of prizes to give out. And at some point, I'm going to ask Francis to discuss some more in-depth details that we need to just iron out about commercial versus the residents, non-commercial winners. But that said, we're still doing the same thing, Jim. If you happen to have someone in mind that might be happy to contribute, or there's something that we need to purchase, it worked out very well last year, and it works out every year. So we're on to it. Hopefully we'll have great weather. We are doing clam pies. Just to remind you, that was our big success last year. And I know you won't be here, Jim, so we'll have to save you a clam pie.
That's okay. You don't need to save me a clam pie.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
Looking over at the screen, and I see Arthur Beckenspeed. How are you, Arthur? You're muted. Are you muted? You're on mute.
No, he's not.
Oh, you're not? I can't hear.
Arthur's not muted.
Can you hear me now?
Can hear you now. How are you? Do you wish to address the board?
No, I just was, I just got here. Have you talked about the walkway yet, or?
Oh, yeah, we granted the permit.
Oh, great. Okay, I just got in from the city. I wasn't sure what time I'd get here.
Okay.
So, all right.
Good to see you, Arthur.
Good to see you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. You've talked about it, so I'll leave now. Thank you very much. Good night.
You're welcome.
All right.
The Conic Estuary Partnership, ideas for future projects.
Yes, I think John and I received the same email, but I wanted to bring it up at the meeting because they've extended the period in which people can come forward with ideas that they're interested in having Peconic Estuary Partnership consider for grant funds. And that deadline is this coming Friday. So if there are things that the trustees have in mind that we'd like to have them consider, please you can send them to me and I will forward them on, or I will, after our meeting, send you that email from Peconic Estuary. I don't think I sent it out yet, did I?
Susan, we were considering having a drone photograph all the hard structures.
Yes, I've been lobbying for that for some time now.
Is that something that would qualify as a project? Or?
I think that's something that we could certainly propose as a project. We could propose it as a drone shoreline survey,
Hard structure survey? I know there's
it would.
Yeah. I've actually spoken to Joyce months ago, the director, about drones, and she has a system, but it's older now, that had aerial views of the harbors that she said we could use. But I think to have a current drone visuals would be excellent for us and very helpful. So I would certainly propose, I'm happy to propose that to them as an idea. What about Napeag, Jim?
I think that'd be a good project. Is that something that could get fleshed out by this Friday?
Well, we can submit the idea. They're looking for ideas. They're looking for projects to be considered. So would you like me to put that in?
I would love it if you put that in. John, could you help write the, because I'm not really going to be able to participate in that. I'm still out of town.
There's already language for that, Jim.
Yeah, we've got some
I think we should propose the Nat Peak project, the Accabonac Marsh project, and a drone survey. I think those would be the three we can do.
All right. I'm all in favor of that. Is this something that needs a vote?
I don't think so.
No, I mean, if you have ideas, you can send them to me. and
No,
I'll-
John, hey, I'm gonna be honest with you. John's articulated those ideas. Susan, I thought you were gonna bring up Accabonac Marsh. I
That's
expect
already,
that
well,
tonight.
Joyce they're already on to that as well.
Okay, so
Joyce
listen.
has already been to the salt
Yeah.
marsh. She's very much a part of that restoration project, which is something I'm going
And,
to
you know,
discuss
listen,
this evening as well.
yeah, we don't need to reinvent the wheel there, and I think giving our support towards that, it's all I think they're worthwhile projects.
Agreed. I think, Nature Conservancy does have some money from the Peconic Estuary program to begin work on the marsh, but it's certainly going to take a lot more money as it goes forward. So I think if we, as a local government, request it, this is put out by the local government committee of the PEP, I think it would just reinforce its importance for the PEP to look for outside funding for it.
Right. Which brings me to the next, the dock survey comes next, but in the going along after that is Accabonac Hog Creek. And I sent everyone the link for and the information for the SMART teams. So I'll talk about that after the dock survey. And that is, you're all invited to attend that Zoom meeting, which I'll talk about later. So, all right, well, if you have more ideas and you want to submit them, as I said, Accabonac Salt Marsh, Joyce Novak has been involved in this since the beginning, and she has been attending the SMART team meetings that we held before, and she's very aware of this project. The drone we'll ask for in Napeague Inlet would be something that's new to Peconic. Pep.
John, I have drone survey, Nat Peak, Harbor, and what?
Accabonac Marsh restoration.
Which is something like that they're already committed to, aren't they?
They're committed, so is the Nat Peak project. It's committed to be on a list. It's on a list to look for funding. The Accabonac Marsh project has some startup funding, if you will. And it's sort of a tier 1 priority. The Nat Peak project, I believe now, is a tier 2 priority. So they'll all need more money to fully implement.
All right, so the deadline for this is this Friday.
All right, the last thing I have under old business is the dock survey has commenced. John has gone out and done a review.
That's David.
That's David. And
But yeah, I went out and did a few docs and took the information that we were given, the survey forms, and I made some I sort of made some observations that I thought would be useful just for me to relay to the board. I sent in an email to Allison, and she subsequently sent those observations of mine around to the board, but I thought I would just list them again. Now that we're all here, I'm not sure who saw the emails, who might not have. This is really just not for discussion. It's really just my observations of what I thought adjustments might be made or practicalities might be considered when everybody goes out and does their inspections. So each inspection seemed to take me about an hour. All together, getting there, talking to the dock owner, making the measurements, doing the photographing, looking at the surrounding terrain, things like that, and then moving on to the next dock. On the survey forms, we're asked to measure to the nearest half foot. I found that difficult because some of the docks I encountered, in fact, I think all of the docks I encountered had several components. Some of them had many components. And to try to, and many of the components seem to be sort of standard measurements. It's like a 3x5 or it's a 4x20 or something like that component. So to try to get down to the nearest 6 inches, I thought was something that was just going to take a lot of time and might not be followed by everybody anyway. So I thought getting the measurements to the nearest foot would be a more practical approach. And then I think the most important part of the information we put together for Allison on our survey is going to be the drawing of the dock. I think we have to really spend a lot of time carefully doing a careful drawing of the dock, the dimensions of all the components on that drawing. And then the dock sits in space, if you will. There's an upland. Then there's a transition between the upland and the water, and then there's the water. And I believe, well, I think it's important for us to identify the components of the dock as they relate to the terrain under them. So if you draw a dock, say a long, narrow dock, kind of put where the water line is relative to that you're drawing on it, and identify this as water line, similar to maybe a marsh, and then a beach, and then say a bulkhead or an upland. And then pilings. I mean, we have pilings on the survey, but and we have freestanding pilings versus pilings associated with the dock. I found the dock with dolphins supporting it from underneath, which was a little unclear to me what category that fit into. So again, that was something I put on my drawing, drew it in, and identified it as a 3-pile dolphin or a 2-pile dolphin under the dock. And then, I don't know how that's going to relate to how we assess this dock, but at least that information will be there when it comes time to analyze this survey.
Can you measure the pile?
I think I didn't measure them, but they're generally either small pilings or large pilings. It's probably like the large pilings are somewhere between 8 and 12 inches. And small pilings might be down to like 4 inches. I'm not sure that it's probably something that wouldn't be a bad idea to make a note of, whether it's a 4-inch piling or an 8-inch or larger. And then I think the photos will also be very important. And I got back off the dock and took a picture of the dock as it relates to the terrain over which it transits from the upland to the water, just to sort of reinforce the notes on the drawing. That might be helpful when, especially for Allison, she hasn't been there, and look at our drawing and then she can look at a picture and put the two together. And that's it. There was some question about how to present these, so how to save these photos. I just saved them on my phone as an album with the address of the property. And I figured I could just forward that to the office until we get the app that we can directly take the pictures in. So those are my observations.
Well, thanks, John.
Thank you. All right, committee reports. Aquaponic Hog Creek, an upcoming Smart Teams meeting regarding the proposed aquaponic water restoration project.
Yes, I just wanted to remind you, I sent this to you today. It's open to anyone who wishes to attend. There will be a Zoom meeting on Tuesday, September 13th. This is from Dr. Nicole Marr of the Nature Conservancy. This is the next step in the project for Aquaponic Harbor. This will entail the first presentation of the conceptual restoration designs for the salt marsh. And I guess now it's a few months ago that we attended a meeting that Nicole held, and various different marine biologists were present from various agencies from New England. And they spoke to us about the harbor and what successes they have had in various different salt marsh areas in New England. So this will be what she's calling the SMART teams, who will share their approach and draft conceptual designs. There will be lots of time for Q&As and feedback. So if you look in your email, I did send this to you. And there is a Zoom meeting, as I said. It's typically recorded, so if you don't get to attend, then you can watch the link once it's prepared. So that's September 13th from 10 to 12. And if you know of other people who would be interested in attending, feel free to pass that information along according to Nicole. And I think it will be very interesting to see what they've come up with as a starting plan for Aquaponic salt marsh. Okay. So look in your emails. All that information is in your email. I forwarded it today.
Thanks, Susan. Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
Agriculture, we have an update on Southport Sea Farmers Oyster Reef Project in Aquaponics Harbor, DEC approval to receive.
Yes, the oyster reef that we approved in Aquaponic over by Landing Lane was approved by the DEC. They got their DEC permit. They also have a permit to possess undersized oysters to populate the reef with. So they, my understanding is they'll be beginning to construct this reef shortly after school starts, utilizing some of the students from the spring school. And that's the state of affairs as they currently exist for the aquaponic oyster reef near Landing Lane.
Thanks, John.
I think we might be hearing from them shortly about some requesting additional reefs, but I haven't heard from them directly about that.
Thanks, John. Matt, do we have anyone on the phone line?
You have 0 callers. Thank you.
Thank you. Fremont Harbor Committee, Hampton Waters, the walkway, we did that already. It's a new category in the news.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great story.
He sent an article about boat captains and operations.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring everyone's attention to the front page of the East Hampton Star in the issue of July 28th about our pump out boats. And the headline was, "Job may stink, but harbors don't." This was written by Christopher Walsh, and he took the picture of Savannah, Captain Savannah Vanderwalt. And I wanted to just let everyone know, as we all do, that this is a service that the trustees provide for free. So if you're in our waters, please, avail yourself of this wonderful service that we do provide. And Jim is in the article, and Bill Taylor, Jim Grimes and Bill Taylor. And it's a really up-tempo. We're doing good things for our community. So I'm very happy that it was on the front page. And thanks, Mike. Mike brought Savannah to our attention a while ago. So I've gotten to meet her, and she's really enthusiastic about her job. And also Travis and Bob, who also work with her. They're doing a great job. So if you haven't seen it, it's right on the front page of the Star from July 28th. And I posted it to our website. So and sent Savannah a link so that she could share it with Travis and Bob. And that's it for In the News.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Susan.
All right, we're into administrative already. Yes,
Well, hey, before we leave committees, ponds and beaches, I did receive a couple complaints about poaching down in Georgia over the weekend with respect to crabbing. Those complaints were forwarded on to Marine Patrol, and Marine Patrol is addressing it.
So they've gone from Napeague back to Georgia Pond, right?
Well,
It's always a hot spot.
Is this the same problem that we've been having over the last few years, Jim?
well, it's the same problem. We are getting, actually, the Marine Patrol has been basically getting tipped off by the lifeguards over at Georgia when they see traffic down there that they feel doesn't fit like a normal profile. And then we had one of the baymen call me Sunday and make me aware of something. I turned it over to Tim Treadwell, and he's been very, very responsive on these things. But it's ongoing.
Yeah, I was out on the beach there at the Georgia Association on the Sunday before the 4th of July and saw a bunch of potential poachers and spoke to Tim Treadwell about it and spoke to Andrew Thayer, who's a Georgia Association lifeguard, and then also talked to the MDX surf camp people, Main Beach. So I basically brought that attention to Tim had given me the direct line to the Wayne Scott office to have those guys call if they see any of these potential poachers. So this has been going on at least this season for at least a month. So I was on top of that earlier in July.
Yeah, this is just annually. Right?
And I heard that the poachers have apps. So Tim said that on that Sunday night, the 3rd of July, there were tickets given, and they're all from the same area. So some nights it's Staten Island, some nights it's Queens, and that they have some kind of app sharing that where they're being productive, that they share the information, and then more people come up. And so it's turned into a real battle. But we're on
Okay, thank you. Administrative payment of the bills, we have Optimum, $167.66. East Hampton Marina, $216.10 for gas. $239.59 for an oil change. Montauk Anglers Club, $1,851.31, servicing of the newest boat in Montauk. That's an invoice for the whole season to date. Do I have a motion to pay the bills?
Make a motion to pay the bills.
Is that John or Jim?
John
First.
John, motion, and Jim second.
Tim said.
Tim second.
Oh, Tim, I'm sorry.
All in
Hi,
favor?
Tim.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. We have minutes to July 22nd. Has anybody had a chance to review them?
Yes, I did, and I made what little needed to be done. Allison does a great job during the meeting, so I read them and approved. And I think, John, are you the other?
Yes, would you like to make a motion, Susan?
I'll make a motion to approve the June 22nd agenda minutes.
Second, I'll second that.
Okay.
All right, so I'm showing, on the agenda, it says July 22nd, but these minutes say July 25th. Which one's correct?
The 25th.
25th is correct?
The 25th is correct.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of July 25th?
Yes, I make a motion to approve July 25th.
Aye.
Unopposed? Okay, approved. Anybody have anything else they want to discuss before we take it now?
Thank the staff for staying on the job.
Anyone want to make a motion?
Make a
I'll
motion.
make a motion. John, you're making the motion?
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good night.
Take it easy, guys.
Thank you, everybody.